Hello everybody, my name is Ethan Lal and welcome to my capstone presentation, Mastering the Art of Crochet. You may be asking yourself, what is crocheting even? Crocheting is a type of arts and crafts like knitting where you make loops out of yarn to make various clothing, or in the case of my project, stuffed animals. For this project, I chose to take on the activity of crocheting because I was never really an artistic or creative person, and crocheting really stood out to me because it's pretty beginner friendly. There are so many online resources and tutorials mainly directed towards the new or beginner crocheters. I don't know if that's a word or something, but I made it up. I also decided to go with crocheting instead of any other art like painting, for example, because I wanted to make an object that I can physically hold, and I could only think of 3 activities that could satisfy my want for this. 1. Knitting, 2. Pottery, and 3. Crocheting. Knitting is too hard and complicated for my small brain to comprehend, and pottery, I'm not trying to do that, so I went with crocheting. And now, with my activity chosen, I only had one goal in mind: to make something I'm proud of. After speaking with my mentor and discussing the plan of action for my project, we concluded that the first thing that I could do to reach my goal is to actually buy the materials first so I can learn how to crochet. So after I did that, with the help of my mentor, I got straight to learning the basic stitches and techniques like single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. At first, it was really difficult because I have never done anything like this before, so my hands would get really tense and start to hurt after some time. So I would frequently have to take breaks to let my hands recover and rest. I would also get really frustrated while crocheting because of how much I was messing up, and I would just be rough and try to speed through it, but after a while I would eventually learn to be patient. Wouldn't get mad and destroy my desk every single time I messed up. And after a very hard time and a lot of patience and a lot of wanting to rip my hair out, I eventually was able to complete my first ever crocheted item. A crochet square! Oh yeah, oh yeah. Even though it may seem very lackluster and not very impressive, I was actually really proud of this odd looking, barely a square, because this square has taught me a lot of things about crocheting that I will be able to carry over to my other crochet projects, like how I should be actually careful and have patience about what I'm doing instead of acting like I have a hole in my head and start tweaking out every time I mess up. After finishing like one more square, I realized what were mostly the hardest things for me in crocheting. These things are hand stamina and tension control. Later in my project, my hand stamina eventually gets better, but tension control, that was quite a problem in a lot of my projects. But with all that aside for now, I decided to start my actual first crochet toy. Usually when crocheting a toy or something, you would follow a pattern, which is like a step-by-step tutorial. But they all use really odd abbreviations and terminology that I didn't bother learning until my later projects because I am not a very bright individual. So, for my first project, I just chose to do a YouTube video tutorial. While I was searching for a toy to make, a certain one stood out. I had to make this cute looking frog. It was too adorable to not make. But with learning new things comes challenges. And with this project, the challenge was the magic circle. The magic circle was easily the hardest technique I had learned, but it took me like over a day to learn. And maybe I'm just like dumb or something, but no way it should have taken me that long. Learning the magic circle was by far the most frustrating part of this project. I would try and get so discouraged because I wasn't able to do such a simple thing. I had to take multiple breaks of crocheting because I did not want to get too demotivated and give up. But by using the lessons I learned from my previous projects and being patient with my work, eventually I was able to do it consistently by taking it slow and making sure I do everything exactly step by step so as to not make dumb mistakes. And after a couple of days of working on this frog, I finished it. And this is what it looks like. After I finished the frog, I spoke with my mentor, and we discussed that my next project should be made using a pattern instead of a YouTube tutorial. A pattern is like a step-by-step guide for making crochet things. But instead of using actual words, the pattern tells the steps by using abbreviations for each type of stitch and also shows how many stitches you should have at the end of each row. And learning this stuff was not easy. It was like learning a new language for me. Luckily though, I had my mentor helping me out and always lending me a hand when I needed help. And so after a while of talking and looking for patterns, we decided that I should make a cute onion that we found on Instagram. The thing about this project though is that I would have to use a different type of yarn. For all my projects up to this point, I've only been using thin yarn, which was easier for me because it's easy to count the stitches for each row. But when using fluffy yarn, it's way harder to count the stitches because of the fluff and it just covers everything. And when making crochet toys, counting the stitches is very important because if you don't have the correct number of stitches, the end product will not come out how you want it to. And this is how it turned out after 3 weeks. And it only took that long because I didn't have the green yarn for the stem and I was too lazy to get it. Following the making of my onion, I decided to make this cute bunny I found on Instagram for my last creation of my capsule project. And I think I'm the most proud of how this one turned out. The ears are a bit wonky because I did the tension too tightly on one of them and I corrected it on the second ear and made it normal tension. But because they have different tensions, they look like one is too big and one is too small. Also, this one took me like around 3 days and I crocheted for about an hour for each of those days, so it took me about 3 hours total to finish. Okay, so things that went well for this project. This project has allowed me to explore my creativity in crafting because I'm generally not a very crafty person. This project has also made me want to continue crocheting in the future as a hobby, and I'm excited to get started on some more toys. I can understand some crochet terminology and abbreviations and read patterns. I was able to feel pride in something that I did, and I was really proud that I can now do a skill that I once thought to be so foreign and difficult. Also, it tested my persistence and patience. I had to encounter failure multiple times, and those mistakes helped me correct my technique on something that I wouldn't have thought about. So after changing my technique, I will avoid that same error again. And some things that didn't go well is that I procrastinated like a lot, and I was putting things off, and the more I did, the more unmotivated I became. This made it hard to progress on my project, so in the future I know now how important it is to create a schedule and to try my hardest to focus on what is important. And like little specific things like learning how to control my tension, learning the magic circle, and counting stitches with the fluffy yarn were also really difficult. In the future I probably will continue crocheting, so I will probably need to have a set time to crochet, even if it's just like a couple hours or something, and to set like little goals and mini projects so I don't procrastinate like a bum. Some hard skills I was able to learn is crocheting with different weights of yarn, sewing crochet parts, reading and understanding crochet patterns, and controlling tension and grip of a crochet hook in yarn, and increasing my hand stamina. All these hard skills have contributed to my success in my project, and I've learned them and have been able to apply them consistently throughout all the crochet items that I have made. For my soft skills, I've developed my adaptability skills. I had to get used to adjusting to challenges, new materials, and new techniques. And I developed my problem solving skills. When an issue occurred, I had to work backwards and account for what could have gone wrong. And I learned about the importance of attention to detail, as I had to focus on stitch count, color changes, and the needle when sewing. If I don't focus on detail, then something may not go as I wanted. These soft skills that I have learned during this project have been useful and will also be extremely useful in real life applications. In this project, I've gone through a lot of ups and downs and a lot of demotivation, but learning these skills have been very helpful to combat my problems, and I feel that they will be helpful for real life problems as well. And finally, I owe all of my success to my mentor, who has had to deal with me being a dummy this whole time and has helped me so much with this project. I would not be able to do any of this stuff without her encouragement and support throughout this time as my mentor. I am extremely honored to have her as my mentor, and since she wants to become a teacher in the future, it was a very good learning experience for her also. Thank you, Michelle Toe, for being the most amazing mentor and girlfriend I could have asked for. Thank you for watching my presentation. It's done. Also, I forgot to write this in my script, but I made something for my cat, like a little ball thing on a string. And I thought he would play with the ball, but he did not care about the ball and only cares about the string that the ball is like being held by. And so he only plays with that. So enjoy some footage with him playing with it. Bye bye!